condolences and love. I'm Reverend Janice Carey, and I invite you to let's turn within into your own inner sanctuary for a moment as we open with a prayer, as we listen to Miles Davis. Because we know that Stephen absolutely loved Miles Davis. And when we listen to this type of music, it takes us to another place. It takes us to the in-depth truth of how we transcend the world, overcome the world, and know the truth of our interconnectedness. We feel your presence, Holy Spirit, within us. And we honor and celebrate and give thanks for the life of Stephen Stokes, a father, brother, uncle, friend, and one who was dearly beloved by all. May we be comforted in knowing that Stephen is at peace. Amen. Amen. I invite us now, you could turn that off, Dave, I appreciate that we speak together the Lord's Prayer as written. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. And so we breathe that in. And we allow ourselves to connect our body and our mind, our spirit, as we think of Stephen and all that he meant to us. Now, I met Stephen at the wedding of Stan and Lily Stokes. He was busy doing what he loved to do most, and that was serving his family and being with his family. He took on being grill master for a wedding. And he was there hours grilling all the fish that all the guests were having. Though I did not know Stephen very well, I do know his family, and I have heard some incredible and wonderful stories. Stephen was a father, a brother, an uncle, a son, and as I said, loved by so many and appreciated by many. Stan shared with me that his father used to say that Stephen was his favorite. He said that he could charm anyone, especially with that auburn hair. Everyone fussed over him. Girls would come from the sisters had their girlfriends over, and they would all fall kind of for Stephen because he was so charming and lovable. Even Stanley Joseph, who is Stephen's nephew, called him the cool uncle and a class act. I heard he loved classic rock and jazz, and that he and his daughter would listen to these records together. He was a golf enthusiast, and he intends to return to California and visit all of those courses once more. When we lose someone that we love, our minds cannot understand why. And so I invite you to contemplate these words from the book of Ecclesiastes. To everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die. And if we really look at these ancient words, we realize we do not get to choose the time of either. And maybe that's a good thing. Yet at the same time, our faith tells us we know he's not gone. Stephen has been born into another dimension. His spirit is eternal. Our spirit is eternal. So in order to understand death, we have to look at life. Look at nature. look at the nature of life, we see that all things change, yet nothing perishes. And if this is true in the world of things, how much more true is it in death? Life does not begin with birth, and it does not end with death. Stephen, I understand, found comfort in religion. And so, we look to Jesus and his promise in John 14, who says, "In my Father's house there are many mansions. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and take you unto myself. And so that where I am, there you may be also." It's very comforting to know that we will all be there together in another dimension. But we don't know when, and we don't know how. But we will continue in another form, for that is the promise. Now, family stories are sacred. Family stories are written on our hearts, and they're passed from one to another, one generation to another, and in my experience, they get embellished, which is even better. And so, when we tell these stories to each other, they create a bond of love that heals us here. In this world, we cannot see completely. We see only part, but then we'll see further and more clear. And so it is through the stories we help each other. So I would love to invite any of you, one of you, friends, family, anyone who has a story and they're willing to share it. This is a sacred time. So please come and share your love about Stephen. Who'd like to go first? Stephen. Perfect.
I will go first because I think that the words should come first of the person that Stephen, I think, loved the most in his life, and that's his daughter, Stephanie. And if you look back at the pictures of his, when he gave her away at her wedding, and I'm going to give you the comments that his daughter sent and asked me to speak this morning, or this afternoon, since it's after 12. It says, words to Pops, and I'm hoping I can read it.
You want to come under here where there's more light?
I do.
Yeah, please come on up here.
Thank you. Word to Pops, to my Pops. I wish I could have said goodbye. I wish I would have known of all the emotional and physical pain you were honestly dealing with and going through. It makes me sad you felt so alone. This past week I've been reflecting on all the good memories we had. The most current being my wedding day and the special time we shared together in the room before you walked me to the aisle. That moment is something I will always cherish. You seemed genuinely so happy and healthy, and I am so grateful that you were there on that special day. Recently, my mom and I were talking about how thankful she was that you did so many fun things with me as a kid. You taught me to be fearless and unafraid, and if I fell down, just to get back up and try again. I mean, I was the only girl at the ice skating rink with hockey skates. You taught me how to rollerblade, ski, and shoot hoops at the park with all the endless games of horse. I always loved going horseback riding with you in Half Moon Bay. than eating Taco Bell on the beach in Pacifica. The fact that you would take me golfing with you and let me drive the golf cart at age 6, I did pretty well, huh? It's such a great memory. Those were the good old days. Thank you for sharing your love for music. That is a piece of you I gratefully will have forever and ingrained in me. I will always remember your teaching me how to use a jukebox that was in your shop. I would play Walk Like a Egyptian by the Bangles over and over and over again. I hope you know that I love you and will miss you, even with all the hard times we have gone through. I'm happy to know you are out of pain and truly believe that you are back to your happy, free spirit, self-hitting golf balls in heaven. I hope Marty, who you love to call Smarty Marty, is keeping you company and giving you so much love, because I'm really missing that little guy too. I love you, Pops, and I'll continue to make you proud. Love, Steph.
I was Stephen's older brother, and as I said, it was always he was always my dad's favorite. And I told Reverend Janice, I said, who would you be favorite to? If one kid would run up and jump in your lap, and the other one would come up and kick you in the knees. And Stephen was, of course, the one that would run up and jump in your lap. And I was the one that come up and kick you in the knee. So I'm not surprised at that part. One of the things that I think helped form Stephen's life in a certain way is our mother passed away when I was 19 and Stephen was 15, and our younger sister Ruth, who is here today with us, was 13. I think losing a parent at such a young age affects one's way of looking at life. And I think part of his was missing a feeling that he was not quite getting some of the love that he so desired. And I think his daughter certainly was there to fill that gap at times. My desire and hope for my life had been that Stephen and I would get to know each other as my fantasy of what brothers are like. At times we were able to do that, and at times we weren't. And I cherish the times that we weren't. And as Stephanie said in her note here, I am just grateful that he is out of pain, because he was in a lot of pain towards the end. A lot of pain. And that I will miss him. I do miss him. And I believe he's up there running things now in heaven. If there's a golf course, he's on it. I can promise you that. One last thought, and if anyone would like to see it after the service, I will be glad to show it to you. He is going to be shipped back to California. He is being cremated. And when I went over to the funeral home, they showed me this container, and I'll be glad to show it to you. I took a picture of it. It's about this large, about this big around, and guess what's on it? A golf course with a big golf ball. So he is being shipped back, and then Stephanie is going to take his ashes to all the golf courses that he played and spread his ashes into different golf courses in California. And that's what he desired. He wanted to be cremated, and he wanted to be put his ashes on the golf courses, because that's where I think he probably loved, as far as a place, the best. And with that, I will stop.
else that would like to come up and stand in front, wherever you would like to stand, and say any comments about Steve?
My name is Bob Rowland, my wife Ellie over here. I've met Stephen a little shy of 50 years ago. We started working at New York Life Insurance. The Reverend Janice caught it specifically. Stephen was one of those guys, everybody liked him. He did really well in sales, he had that smile. I wasn't all that in tune with his auburn hair, but I heard a lot of other people like it, my wife included. And he was rehearsing all this in my head. I had it a lot smoother than it's going right now, but listening to some of the comments already, you understand why I don't. One of the other things he was an impeccable dresser. He was always dressed to the nines. He did have, before New York Life, he worked in a clothing store selling men's clothes. And I guess that's where I got love for that. He gave me a couple tips. I didn't listen to him until a while later. One of the things, as I said, we've known each other, we met almost 50 years ago, and we grew up together in a sense that we were very young at the time. Now we're a lot older and maybe more sensible, but we never grew apart. We always stayed in touch even when he moved back here, and I was still out in California. A couple stories. We did have a business together for a while. That didn't go as well as we planned, and that's when he got into the sporting industry and started playing golf shops, ski shop, tennis shop. He had all the equipment, bicycles, everything. That's how he supplied me with every sporting equipment I needed back in those days. Some of the stories I mentioned to Stan earlier, I can't tell in mixed crowds because we were, like I said, young. But a couple of them were interesting. I was visiting him one day at his store, and he got a call from the IRS about a problem with one of his tax returns. And he said, I had helped him complete it for that year. And he said, well, wait a minute, let me let you talk to my CPA. And I looked over and I said, I got promoted to a CPA. I just fill out the form. So I was on the phone for half an hour. He was about walking around selling stuff and everything, and just making sure I was taking care of it for him. I have no idea. I think he didn't go to jail, so I guess we resolved it. But that was how Steve was. He was very smoothly, moved it right in, told this guy here, talk to this guy. I obviously wasn't a CPA, but it worked out. He was also, after our business failed way back when, he was a survivor. He started his own business and did very well with it. His collection of golf memorabilia, golf clubs, sporting memorabilia, as Stan has already seen, is quite large. You have a lot of trouble just playing. You have to get another storage locker problem. He wasn't just a golfer. I think he was more of a golf nut. I mean, that was all he was. I played a few times with him. I wasn't nearly as good as he was, but he was always kind and trying to teach me how to do the right thing. I went out to play with him one day, and his first time I realized we played golf polo, where you just got in the golf cart and you come down and just whack the ball. And then you run over the other guy's ball so it gets sunk into the ground. And that was a different version of the game, but it turned out to be relatively fun. Let's see, I got lots of other things here. One of, maybe that's not a good story. I'm gonna miss him. Even though we were separated by 3,000 miles, we always talked on a semi-regular basis, and every time we were down in Florida, we would come and have dinner with him down here in Fort Pierce. And my wife said last night, it's kind of funny, we're coming down for a totally different reason, and we're not having dinner with Steve. But the Reverend's correct, we keep him in your minds, talk about it. He is in a better place. Last time we saw him was about 3-4 weeks ago. Had dinner, you can tell he was in a lot of pain, and he was suffering. And we commented it later, it just wasn't Steve anymore, or actually Stokes. It wasn't Steve, it was Stokes. So I'm happy
Now, we know that Stephen, yes, is in our hearts, and he does not cease to be. But he has put on invisibility. Only his body has died. His spirit lives and will live on in our hearts and minds. I just opened to this daily word on our Keeping a True Lent for today. And it's just perfect. And it's miracles. Now, miracles is a change of a perception of how to see things. And it reads, when we expand our perception beyond the physical realm, miracles abound. We even come to expect them. We appreciate divine synchronicities, inexplicable coincidences, and the silent movement of spirit within all life. Miracles are all around us. We only need to wake up to see them. You see, life is an extension of God into us, into creation. Just as a wave is an extension of the ocean, we are an expression or an extension of life. And so, Steve is here, right now, if we can feel him and see him within our hearts. And so we ask, what happens then when one dies? What happens? And St. Paul tells us, as humans, we see through a glass darkly, but then we will see face to face, face to faith. We sometimes fail to recognize life as forms of life. Life forms go through physical changes. We all know this. Our body has changed. Our mind has changed. Our spirit has not. So if that is true, we are not our body. We have a body. And we're not our mind. We have use of a mind. We are that which animates it all. And so I would like to share this Native American poem, which I think expresses it very well, and it's also on your program. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glint on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awake in the morning hush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circling flight. I am the soft starlight at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry, I am not there. I do not die. So I invite you just for a moment to go inside your own being once again and pull into your mind your image of the highest version you can of how you remember Stephen. For me, it is at the grill. But where is it for you? Go to that place now. And tell him you love him and will miss him. But you will carry on. And he has helped you grow. And so as we begin to bring this session to a close, this sacred service, I invite us to say the closing prayer that goes, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And Stephen, we do not say goodbye, we say Godspeed. We will see you again. And we close this service with one of your most favorite songs, the music of Bob Marley, Three Little Birds. And I invite all of us to go into the hospitality room and share some coffee and some love and more stories for Stephen and for yourself. Namaste. And thank you for coming. Bob Marley's on his way. Well, I'll go see where he is. Technology.